Hey everybody, welcome back for another deep dive into the world of tech. Today we're looking at something pretty cool. You guys sent it in an article from Android Authority. It's called, "I replaced my Android launcher with a game emulation hub, and it mostly worked. Turning your phone into a retro gaming console. I am so there." But first, we're at 49 subscribers. Hit that like and subscribe button to help us out. All right, so
This is really interesting. Combining that functionality with nostalgia. Imagine just like booting up your phone and you're greeted by this interface straight out of the 90s.
So how does it actually work? Like, what is this ES-DE Frontend?
It's basically a launcher, but like instead of your typical app icons, it's designed for emulators. It's for organizing and launching them.
So it's not an emulator itself.
Right, it's like the front end.
Yeah.
A really nicely designed way to manage all your different emulators in one place. You still need the actual emulators themselves.
It's like RetroArch.
Yeah, like RetroArch installed separately.
RetroArch. I've heard of that, but never really dived into it. What makes it so special?
RetroArch is super powerful. It can emulate a huge range of consoles, from the classic Atari to PlayStation 1, even some handhelds. But setting it up can be a bit of a headache, especially if you're new to emulation.
So this ES-DE Frontend is like a simplified way to control this beast.
Exactly. Plus, it has a ton of customization options. You can really personalize it. You can do custom themes, layouts. You can even add non-emulator apps to it.
Wait, so I could have all my games from all these different consoles and my regular apps like social media and email all within this retro interface.
Yeah, you got it. But there are a few limitations. Like with anything, you got to keep in mind, one of the biggest things is ES-DE Frontend itself doesn't support touch controls.
Yeah.
So unless you're using a controller, navigating the menus and launching games, it can get pretty clunky.
Yeah. I can imagine trying to scroll through a list of games using a D-pad on my phone screen. That doesn't sound fun.
It definitely wouldn't be the smoothest experience. And then another thing, the interface is designed for landscape mode, which isn't exactly ideal for just everyday phone use.
Oh, I can only imagine trying to quickly respond to a text message while holding my phone sideways.
Right.
That would be a disaster.
It'd be the talk of the town. Maybe not in a good way. But don't worry, there are some workarounds. The Android Authority article mentioned using an app called Tasker to automatically switch launchers based on whether a controller is connected.
Tasker? Yeah, I think I've heard of that. Isn't that the app that lets you automate all sorts of tasks on your phone?
It is. It's super powerful for people who like to tinker, customize their Android experience. In this case, you could set it up to switch to a more traditional launcher when you disconnect your controller.
Okay, so while it might not be perfect for everyday use, it sounds like a really cool option for those dedicated Android-based handheld gaming devices, especially if you paired it with Tasker for a more seamless transition.
Exactly. It's like a prime example of how mobile devices are becoming these versatile gaming platforms, and with retro gaming becoming more and more popular. It's not surprising that developers are finding ways to cater to that.
Yeah, it's really cool. But this brings up an interesting point. For someone who's completely new to emulation, what does an emulator actually do?
Great question. An emulator basically mimics the hardware and software of a specific game console, allowing you to run those games on a completely different device, like your Android phone.
Oh, so it basically tricks the game into thinking it's running on its original console.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty clever. Emulators have been around for a while, but the technology keeps getting better and better, allowing for more accurate and efficient emulation.
So even if ES-DE Frontend isn't really my thing for everyday use, I can still explore the world of emulation with something like RetroArch.
Absolutely. And RetroArch isn't the only option out there. There are tons of other emulators, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Some focus on specific consoles, while others offer a more general purpose approach. It really just depends what you're looking for in an emulation experience.
Wow, I had no idea the world of emulation was so vast. This is really eye-opening. But let's go back to ES-DE Frontend for a sec. While the Android Authority article focused on this specific launcher, I'm curious about other Android launchers in general. Are there other unique or unconventional ones out there?
Oh, for sure. That's a great question. The beauty of Android is its customizability. You don't have to stick with the stock launcher that comes with your phone. There are tons of third-party launchers available. They all offer different looks, feels, and features.
So even if I'm not into the whole retro gaming aesthetic, I could still find a launcher that suits my style and my needs better.
Absolutely. You can find launchers that are super minimalist, or prioritize productivity features, or even ones that mimic other operating systems. The options are pretty much endless.
All this talk about launchers and customization, It makes me think about the future of mobile user interfaces. Do you think these hyper-personalized themed launchers are just like a fad? Or are they like a sign of things to come?
That's a great question. I think it's a bit of both. You know, there's always going to be a market for people who want to express themselves through their devices, and themed launchers definitely let you do that. But I also think as technology evolves, we're going to see more seamless and intuitive ways to personalize our digital experiences, maybe even going beyond the traditional launcher altogether.
It's pretty exciting to think about the possibilities. But for now, let's bring it back down to earth. After exploring ES-DE Frontend and its quirks, I'm wondering, is the allure of that retro aesthetic worth the potential trade-offs?
That's the question, isn't it? It really comes down to your priorities and how you use your phone. If you're a hardcore retro gamer who loves the idea of turning their phone into a portable console, then the limitations might not matter that much. But for someone who really values practicality and ease of use, it might not be the best fit for everyday life.
Yeah, it really is amazing the things these developers come up with.
It really is. They're really pushing the boundaries of mobile tech.
And it shows how much mobile devices have evolved. From just making calls to like full-on entertainment hubs.
Yeah.
So after all this, I'm curious, is that retro aesthetic and having this like immersive gaming interface worth the trade-offs for using it every day? What do you think?
That's the big question. The Android Authority article talked about that. It's a cool concept, but it does have its quirks. It really depends on what's important to you.
Yeah, for sure. Like we said, if you mostly use your phone for communication and stuff, sticking with a normal launcher is probably better. But for the retro gamers out there, who want to turn their phone into a handheld console, ES-DE Frontend might be perfect.
Exactly. And it's awesome to see these niche launchers paving the way for more personalized mobile experiences.
Well, there you have it, folks. Turning your Android phone into a retro gaming haven with ES-DE Frontend. A super cool idea. But with some things to keep in mind. This has been Everyday Tech Explained.
Always fun talking tech.
What do you guys think about using a game emulator launcher? Would you try it out? Or are you happy with what you got? Hit that like button and let us know. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world of tech. Until next time.